so if you could stand up to the podium, write down your name and address, state your name and address, and you have 5 minutes now, and then you will have 2 minutes after at the end of the meeting. Any visitors who wish to speak? No visitors who wish to speak. Thank you for coming this evening. Okay, is there any discussion concerning the meeting minutes? No? I forgot to name this. I thought you were going to call Harry about the SRO officer information.
I did email him today. I said, if you heard from Linda, and he said no, and I said, well, can you give it to me?
Thank you. Because I thought you were going to do it. Okay. Committee chair reports. Sue V is not here, and there is, other than me, there's no one from finance, so I will handle the finance. And what we have an authorization for our Director of Administrative Services to prepare and solicit a request for an RFP for auditing services. Does anybody have questions or comments on that? Okay. And then we discussed the part-time clerical, but that's being advertised, isn't it?
The applications are in. I'm reviewing them. I'm going to scan them in, get them to finance, and then take the time and our applicants.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Any questions concerning that process? Okay. And Parks and Recreation. I'm sorry, Frank, I forgot to warn you that there are no other people from Parks and Recs. Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Frank concerning the Bayne Library parking lot and the Bayne Park hours? Jane?
Is this the same diagram from last year?
It is.
And the majority of council last year didn't want that section of the
That is correct. This came up again. Our library director has stated the parking has become an issue, and although it is signed for library only, it's almost near enforceable. It's unenforceable. So at the committee meeting, it was mentioned that we did have a plan to enlarge the parking lot. They said, well, let's bring that to council and start a discussion on how to address the parking issue.
No, wasn't there another plan brought out last year from, say, the other side of the driveway on the right-hand side?
Yeah, that was something we talked about. So that would take the least amount of space from the park if we had parking on the right-hand side.
And if there's an issue right now, could we put up signs saying it's extra parking in lot 1, 2, and 3? This is not going to solve the problem right now.
Mark?
I don't see anybody going down to those lots. I can see them going onto the street, going to those lots to go to the library.
You mean the lot right there, right there? And that's the lot.
What lot are you going at?
There's no lot here.
The big lot. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure, okay, yeah.
I mean, it's not.
Yeah, I can just see them right on the street. Yeah, okay.
Or area,
Yeah.
we can see, this is for the library,
I mean, the signs are the library parking only, and they're being ignored.
I mean, they used to come up, and the police used to come up and go into the library, check to see whose cars were there, and then, I don't know what they did, if they ticketed them, or if they asked the people to remove their cars, I don't remember, but they did come up, they used to in the past.
I just know that this was a diagram that nobody wanted to do because of how much of the green space it took, so.
Yeah, well, first of all, okay, I take it back, that sign would be there, I guess, and tell people there's other parking. There was a modified version of this too, like another one, not where you guys are saying on the right side, as you're coming up the driveway. It was the same as this, only shortened it and kept it out of the playing field, like all that where kids play. And I forget, Tony, I remember there was another one, I had it at home.
I think you kind of deleted the area going around, you deleted like half of that, right?
Yeah.
There was an extra, probably about 3 or 4 different
There were some other versions.
variations that were done. So.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So I don't know those with me, sorry.
I think it was the right and left of the driveway, because if you do it from the right and left of the driveway, then you don't have to worry about the turnaround taking all that space up. It'll take the least amount of space. Since there are 4 people not here, can we discuss this at the council meeting a little bit further?
Yeah.
Mayor?
You know, I'm not a huge proponent of taking up any more green space than necessary, because but reality is, we were just discussing this earlier, if I have small children or grandchildren, I want to come and have them in the swings, and they're not allowed to park there. It's not just a skateboard issue, it's, a park issue. Is there any way we, maybe creative thinking or brainstorming, where we can come up with creative signage, and what Mrs. Braunlich was saying about trying to get people to park in the parking lots, because part of the mentality of having a skate park is to bring people into Bellevue, and therefore we need to get them down into Bellevue, not just in the park. And I know maybe that's not realistic. I'm not a marketing person. I'm just throwing stuff out as an idea. A creative way to get people down to spend the buck in businesses while they're coming up to the park with their kids. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a fun.
Well, I agree. I think the thing is, I totally agree, so I go back to you. Thanks, I was wrong. But they have to know where those are too, so how do you, like 1, 2, and 3, if I pulled up and I wasn't around there,
They
where's
would know.
Would you not? Maybe it's changed in that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're encouraged to park.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, if it just said the street name, it'd be good, so it had to be a little more detailed than just go to 1, 2, or 3. Maybe it's worth it. Yeah, that makes sense, and George says it makes sense too.
I mean, this gets all into, we need to be a little more aggressive on the wayfinding. Is that what it's called, wayfinding? To where, we can, there are arrows so people know where parking is. Because I just don't believe people all know that there is that lot on the other side of Lincoln Avenue, so, but,
That's true.
so that there we need to, be a little more aggressive with, but, I think that's an excellent idea. The more you talk about it, the more you think about it. What's the cost of a sign?
Tony?
Roughly around $40 complete each sign, for about $40.
So, should we do that? Just get going? In the meantime?
We
What do
can.
you want the signs to say?
That's,
Well, a suggestion, could you do a rough draft on the sign and just let everybody know next week, and then we just say that or not?
yeah, okay.
The idea is to push it towards the parking lots?
For now, until we come up with a solution. Jane?
And we would need to see the other, diagram of the parking lot, because all we got to get over one, I don't know the reason they're taking all that green space, so there is other, like Marcia, he has some, bring it to us, so we take to.
I believe this was the actual only engineer drawing, the rest was just verbal, and then it was decided that we weren't going to do anything at all, so nothing formally presented from our
Because it's $26,000 out of our budget, there's no grants or nothing involved in this, so.
That's right. Well, the sign is at least a start, and then we can,
But yeah, the major concern that our librarian had was that her circulation rates will be going down if people only use the library. That was her concern.
So what are we saying, we're going to discuss the parking lot next week?
I think we should.
So everybody should think about it. Yeah, I remember with something else was going on.
And any questions for Frank concerning the Bayne Park hours? And if memory serves me correctly, Frank, it's that we wanted dusk to dawn as opposed to.
Yeah, I think the ordinance is 10 o'clock. We keep saying, they need to get out of there at dusk, but we've got to change the ordinance for that to happen.
Well, that was by Mayor Rick.
What?
That was done originally by Paul Cusick, who's mayor, and we carried it over. But he is correct. It would probably be more correct to have it in the ordinance.
That would be law, yeah. Mark?
Okay, well, that's cool, but it says, the new one would say dusk to dawn. At dusk, you have to go in the
Going to
park.
dusk, yeah.
The problem is we do things in the park that are,
Well, that would,
yeah.
We could put something that would say in the event of an activity that would be excluded or
Right.
something like
There's a
that.
qualifier by special permit, you can stay in the park by 9, or, sorry, 11 p.m.
Okay.
by special permit.
Are there any plans to have lights at the skate park where they get to stay? You know, because right now, dark is pretty soon 5:30. So if kids are gonna do something in the evening and want to do skate park, there's gonna be lights. I'm not trying to make this hard, but if there were lights, we do have, it's tricky when it gets dark so early.
Well, I think what you were saying before is only if you have an event, right? I mean, there's the capability of lights up there, but I don't think you want to have the lights going on every evening at 6:30.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know. I'm saying, I'm missing, I should know, but I don't. Maybe I should know, but I don't. If there's lights planned for the skate park at all. So if there were, that allows them to skate a little longer.
Again, no, there's no additional lighting plan. We've got 3 poles up there now that will provide light, provided we wanted to have a special event. But it would not be on a regular basis.
Right, so how do we get around, what I'm saying is, how do we get around if nobody can do anything after 5:30?
Special permit. They come and petition the borough.
No, I mean, like skaters, say they want to, I mean, 5:30 is pretty early, so I'm not arguing the point, I'm just saying, think about it, isn't that really early that the kids are out there, boom, 5:30 are done?
it's gonna be winter when it's dark 5:30.
Say that again?
It's gonna be the cold winter, I don't think they're gonna be skating out there. I mean, it's the diehard ones might be, but
All right, all right, it's just something.
And most parks are dawn to dusk. I mean, you go to North Park and dusk, the police are touring and you're go. So I don't see anything wrong with that. I think that's a good idea. And then if the police come, they can, ask them to leave. Okay,
For now.
any other questions for Frank? Thank you, Frank. Okay, public safety. Lynn?
Next week, we'll be making a motion to advertise for a part-time firefighter position. This is recommended by Chief Bagley, and 2 people they currently have are often not available when they need a substitute. So we're going to advertise, we're going to make that motion next week to advertise, get more candidates. And later we have ordinances for second readings.
Any questions for Lynn concerning anything on public safety? Mayor?
Well, hiring a part-time firefighter versus using, and I don't know what the terminology is, but someone fills in, a fill-in person that's qualified. Are we getting into any other type of contractual issues, or are we getting into any other liability issues at all?
Part-timers are outlined in the contract. We have to at least have 2 part-timers.
So we're just using the terminology, they used to call them like fill-ins, so they're the part-timers.
Yes.
Understood.
Or subs?
Same thing then. Okay.
Okay. So there's no other liability expense or anything like that by having a third?
No. Yeah, if we just want to enlarge the pool, the budget number will not change.
Any other questions? There was something about, the chief had mentioned about not painting lines on people's driveways. And he's not here tonight. Is he going to be here at council? You know?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Will the chief be here at council?
I don't know.
It actually came out of Public Works.
Oh, was that in the Public Works minutes?
Yes. We had.
Is that Public Works, Jenny?
Well, actually, waved into public works, it started with public works and went into public safety, so they go side by side.
But who do I ask?
Public works were painting the lines, but they didn't want us to paint the lines anymore because you can't enforce it without a sign, and people were painting their own lines, so pretty much nobody's getting no more yellow curve painted, and they don't want the citizens to paint them. They don't have a parking sign, no parking sign, and it's not enforceable, so you can park it.
So how are people supposed to get out of their driveways? Was that discussed? I mean, we want people to park in their driveways and use their garages, And it looks like we're discouraging them from doing that.
You have to be able to access ingress and egress from your driveway. If there's a car blocking it, you're going to call the police and that car will be go.
Well, you know what, I mean, that's a nice concept, but now that's your neighbor, and your neighbor's away, that's not gonna go over too good.
State law says you can't impede the driveway. I mean, there's already a law that states what the.
Okay, because I know in the very narrow streets, you know, it's very difficult to make that left or right out of there. And, you know, and I was looking for this. There was an article about a year ago, some community passed a law, you know, on the narrow streets that you can't park across the street. Now, I was always told the same thing, that if there isn't a sign, but there was something, but I can't find it. I tried, I had an article, but either I threw it out or misplaced it.
Are you talking about making the lines next to the driveway, to mark them, or
No,
across the street there?
No, we're going back, you know, probably months, no more than a year. And I believe that it was across the street type situation. But you know, what you're asking, I just don't remember and I can't find it. Wait, Jane first and then I'll get to Tony. Jane?
Well, that's what I was saying. It's a keeping your way to get out, even if it is across the street, you don't have to have it all line there. You can still have an officer have it moved.
But Tony
It's
has-
impeding.
Yeah, well, that makes sense to me. I mean, wouldn't the yellow lines?
I gotta take it.
Wait, let Tony, because you have something to add to
That's
this.
it, I was just going to change it a little bit. That will continue to be done across from driveways. That part with the signs posted and across from driveways.
Yeah, but there's some that don't have the signs.
I don't know why some were done and some weren't. Maybe some really had a hard time getting around certain areas.
Well, it's been impossible to get those. Those that have the signs on them have got to be well over, let me see, before 1990. Yeah, they're very, you know. And then I did ask for one street to have it removed. I don't know how that's going because they're only parked on one side. So I mean, I just think this is discouraging those people who use their driveways. And, you know, luckily, I bought the house next door so I can ask them to park farther down so I can get out, but not everybody has that luxury.
So we're actually talking about the lines next to the driveway.
Next to the driveway, or any way of getting out. Any way of getting out on these narrow streets.
You know, even
It's a problem.
even if by technicality, we can't enforce something without a sign being posted. I guess in my mind, I look at that yellow line and think, well, at least maybe 51% of the people will have a courtesy to see that yellow line and not put themselves in that situation.
But they're not painting the yellow lines now.
Right, so I guess I'm advocating that we do paint them.
I think so
You
too.
know, I mean,
I think so, and it gives people sort of a benchmark as to where to be able to park.
yeah, I mean, there'll be always the people that ignore it. I have a fire hydrant across the street from my house,
Yeah,
and people park in front of it.
yeah.
They even ignore the fire hydrant getting out of the car, and they still park in front of it. So, yeah, there's always going to be that one person that's always going to do that. But we can solve part of the problem just with courtesy line, that makes sense to me.
Okay.
Yeah, that's cool.
Jen?
Yeah, well, what was under the?
Hey, guys. Jen?
It was under the chief's and Johnny's recommendation that we stop paying because it's.
It all seemed for naught, you know, I mean, we were painting them, but there's other areas we'd love to get out and paint, or intersection areas. If I could skip over the ones that can't be enforced and just go into the important things, we can move a lot quicker through town.
But, you know, it's still.
But if that's what you want to do.
Mark?
No, I'm with George and Lynn. I think we need them just for the thing and the courtesy part that people, 50% of people know not to do it. Because what can you do when you can't get out of your driveway? Too late to think that, huh?
How about we make this a secondary concern to the major things you're talking about, and once the major done, they go back and review the driveways. I mean, I don't know, I'm trying to find a happy medium.
Yeah.
That works.
You know, because of your workload also, you know.
But yeah.
Or particularly on the narrow streets. I'm sure you know which ones are the
Yeah.
narrow ones. The 21-foot, 22-foot,
Okay.
you know, if they would be a priority. Is everybody agreeing to that? Nobody disagrees? We don't need a motion, do we?
And the third one would be to approve payment number 2 for the Insight Piping Contractor Allocation for the amount of $51,630.72 from line item 08-429-17.
Any questions or comments for Jane? Mayor?
Two of those were for action tonight, correct?
You know what, that's what I was looking at that too. Does this have to be done tonight or is it something that
In terms of getting the excavator and ordering the impeller, I would like those done tonight, so those could be ordered. We can start on West Bellevue, and the impeller can be installed when we see the end.
Okay, I have a question on the excavator. How long is that $1,800? How long can you use it for $1,800?
That is 1 week.
1 week? And what's the impeller for?
For the leaf loader, it's actually the big fan blades inside that causes suction vacuum. And the machine right now, I think, is 11 years old. And this is the first impeller that we put on it. It's worn out. It's unsafe. The impeller's got big long cracks in it. It could explode. The fan blades could come on.
Where are you purchasing it from?
ODB.
Oh, is that the name of the company?
Yeah.
Is there
Old Dominion Group.
Okay, is there any other place to purchase these from or just kind of?
I thought I got close.
You did, okay.
Yeah,
You went to
four
Public
parts.
Works. Oh, good, thank you. And then what's this about the leaf machine? Does that go along with this leaf loader? Okay. Do we want to make a motion to do the first one? Do we have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to rent the excavator.
Second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded to rent an excavator from Sunbelt Rentals at a price that will exceed $1,800, coming from line item 01430384. Discussion on the, is there a second? Is there a second? Okay, discussion on the motion? No discussion? All those in favor say aye. Nays? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Braunlich?
Aye.
Mr. Camello? Aye. Ms. Heffley? Mr. Heffley?
Aye.
Mrs. Woshner?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, we have a motion purchasing impeller.
I'd like to make a motion to purchase the impeller from ODB.
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded to purchase an impeller and bushing from ODB at a price not to exceed $1,500 from line item 01430374. Discussion on the motion? No discussion, all those in favor say aye. Nays? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Braunlich?
Aye.
Mr. Camello? Aye. Ms. Heffley? Mr. Heffley?
Aye.
Mrs. Woshner?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Any other questions or comments for Jane? Okay, thank you, Jane. Are there any special committee reports? None at this time. There are no bids at this time. Resolutions. The first one is Public Works Summer Help. I think we voted on that at the last council meeting.
Yeah, it's in there. It should be.
Yeah, so that's not on the board, so delete that one. Okay, and then the second resolution is a bike donation. Oh, and this is for tonight?
That's a mistake. The police chief is working on getting the name of the group that we're going to be donating these to, so we hope to have that for our meeting next week. If not, wait till, another 3 weeks.
Anybody have any questions on that? What are they donating? Are these bikes that have been lost and found,
Unclaimed, yes,
From,
from the borough. We've got about probably 125 bikes that have either been found in the borough, stolen, nobody's come back, claimed them, abandoned and unclaimed.
where would we donate them to?
You have to donate to a nonprofit charity, and this charity will then fix the bikes up and then give them to needy children.
I mean, if they're good, can't they be, like, sell tickets to them or something like that? At one of our events for our borough?
2 items. One, in order to dispose of these bikes, it's a state regulation we have to go through. And then secondly, if you did that, and a kid won the bike, and then, hey, that's my bike, that was a stolen bike, you've got to take them out of the community.
Okay. ordinances. Now, some of these say, this one say, they all say the 2nd. Do these need to be done on the 2nd, or can they wait until the 9th?
Well, I guess that's a council decision.
I can, at least, the first one is the second reading for the excessive police calls.
This is more.
I think that was tonight.
Read it, it's the second reading.
I didn't read the thing in the entirety, so.
It's more of a procedural question.
No, this is to take it off the table. Take it off the table, we have to vote on it. So, no, this is not, so excessive, why can't this wait till the 9th?
It can't, but
Can we do it the 9th, is that?
is it council's intention? We introduced an ordinance at a council meeting.
Right.
We have to have 3 readings. Is it council's intention to either have the second reading pre-council, have the second reading at the following council meeting, and then have the 3rd reading at the next council meeting, or do you want to double down at the second council meeting? So it's a procedural question.
You can double down at next council meeting.
Do you have readings second and 3rd?
I think I would prefer to do the main business at council. That's my opinion now. What's everyone else's opinion?
Would you then have, is it council's, I mean, if this comes up later, do you want to do 2 readings at one meeting, or have an ordinance that would take actually 3 months to pass?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but we always said we want to be able to do 2 at one meeting, but never all 3, unless it was absolutely necessary.
Right.
So we always, no matter what, it's going to take 2 meetings, correct? So
Right.
they give the public a chance. So I'm fine with 2 at the meeting. Yeah.
Jane, are you okay with that? Frank, are you okay with that? Lynn? Okay, so we're going to do this on the 9th. Does anybody have any questions or anything concerning this ordinance? Okay.
No, but just a comment. I do think there's times when we do have to do it on pre-council, depending on circumstances. I don't want to rule that out.
No, it's just for
Yes.
these particular ones. I just don't see.
The reason I just always found it
No,
silly
it's
to
okay.
have 2 readings. If you're going to have 3 readings, shouldn't it be done at 3 separate meetings?
Well, technically, I mean, we could actually do it that way at council's discretion.
Right, I mean, the 3 readings is 3 public meetings where public will comment. And doubling down at one meeting always just seems rather.
But this gives a little more time. No, it doesn't. But anyway,
Yeah.
we've agreed.
And that's fine.
Next
You give
week,
the
because
marching
that's-
orders, and I understand from here on out.
Because we had all talked about this, and we would like for council to be our main business meeting. We do pre-council only when we're down to excessive charge.
But it is council's intention to be double readings for every ordinance.
No,
We may have to.
not everyone.
So then for next week's agenda, we're going to have the second reading. And then for the November meeting, we'll have the 3rd and final reading. So
Jane?
Or somebody can change their mind and tell them that's their reading there.
but you've got to advertise.
You have to advertise on certain.
So you have to advertise all of them. That's the game that I have for planning. How you guys do this.
Well,
Not consistent.
again, I understand where you're coming from, but a long time ago, I'm not saying we'd stick to it, but we agreed that we'd never do it in one unless it was absolutely imperative, or a reason for it. And 2, we would always spread it out into at least 2, which means 2 in one and 1 in another. So we kind of agreed to do 2 in 1, just to not spread it out forever. At the same time, not to get too short. But sometimes we do all one.
Not too often.
Yeah, and I understand both sides of this situation. So in this case,
Yeah, in this case, why not? Mayor, you had a question or comment?
No, I was just thinking back to many years ago, they, I think, did 3 readings over 3 months. And sometimes it became so laborious, they suspended the rules of council, just went ahead and did it anyway. So 2 seems kind of like a nice compromise in case, unless there's an emergency situation, yeah, that's done immediately. 2 months seems adequate for comment.
So from this point forward, we'll have 1 reading at the first council meeting, and the following one's council meeting, we'll have reading, second reading done. And that's how I'll do the advertisements.
Council's discretion, they can change that. We would have to.
This council,
We would have to change the ordinance if you're saying, no, no, we're definitely doing it this way, but we have an ordinance. We have a voting ordinance.
Well, I understand.
Yeah,
But I'm just, in terms of advertising.
For
when
this
you-
one.
So each ordinance is gonna be a case-by-case basis. It's implied, because of the way the meetings are set. If I can't get an advertisement in, have it actually voted on and acted for next week's meeting. So I guess you have to make a decision at the first reading, how you want this introduced.
Mark, you have a comment in the chat.
No, I'm sorry.
You don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole?
Right now?
The problem was, a few years ago, we decided we were gonna advertise all the ordinances before we passed them, so the citizens knew what we were doing.
Yeah.
But years before that, we only advertised them after the law went into effect, so nobody knew anything until after the law went into effect. Yeah, so we changed it, where we advertised all the ordinances before we passed them, and then how it used to be. We used to advertise them after the fact.
Okay, this says before, does it give like a time period that we have to do it this many days? Or is it no less than 60 days or 30 days? So where do we have some
10 days.
leeway?
10 days.
I think we need to be looking at that. Well, we are going to be looking at the voting ordinance, so.
I would just ask, each ordinance we pass, how you want to address it. Obviously, you don't want
Okay.
to consistent.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on that? Okay, and then the fingerprinting fee thing, ordinance. Everybody, any questions or comments on that? Okay, and then I'm not introducing, but just so you know that the rules and regulations. Do we have a copy of the rules and regulations?
That'll be, our solicitor reviewing the draft.
Okay, when will we get them?
You'll have that in your packet for Friday.
Okay.
And if that's not enough time, you want to wait.
Yeah, because an ordinance, it has to be to us about, what, about 7 or 8 days before we actually vote on it. So there's a time period there, Lynn.
So we'll wait a little bit.
Oh, jeez, Lynn.
Just an FYI,
Yeah, it's 2 L's. Is that what it is?
Okay.
Doug, are you going to mention your stuff in old business or new business?
New business.
You'll do new business, okay. Is there any old business that anyone would like to discuss? No old business, new business? D.A.S, you have a couple of things?
Just a couple items. We awarded the contract for the second phase of the State Plaza at the September 4th meeting. The county, we had a single bid. The county actually rejected the bids on some wording technicalities. We're going to have to rebid the project. They've shortened the bid period to 2 weeks. The bid will go out this Friday. It will return the 19th. I've talked with our president about having a special meeting on October 23rd at 6:30 in between our committee meetings to award the bid. Paperwork will be sent out, notice of proceed will be given. We'll have the concrete foundations poured before Thanksgiving, and the elements will be brought in place on those foundations by the end of December. And then in the springtime, we'll have the flat work poured. So this necessitates a special meeting in order to meet the deadline requirements of the grant.
So we need to make a motion to have a special meeting after.
No. Oh, yeah.
You don't have the president.
Yeah, but don't we have to advertise that we are having a special meeting for this? I think we do.
As president, sure.
You know what, we're here, why don't we do that?
I'd like to make a motion to have a special meeting.
Stop. I'm sorry, election day. You
Wednesday. Okay, you have to watch, we have, one person that works evenings, but that's a problem. Is there anybody that the Monday or Wednesday is preferable?
I'm just laughing because we're sitting here with fun people.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's true too. But I try to work around everybody's schedule. You know, I mean, today's an exception. This doesn't happen very often, so. I don't remember in the past, but,
Monday or Wednesday?
it doesn't matter to me.
Oh.
Do we really want it the day before an election? Because sometimes people are extremely busy and we have somebody running for office,
Yeah.
and that would make it very
Why
difficult.
don't we just go with Wednesday?
I think Wednesday. Okay, so let's do a special meeting on, what date, did you talk about? When's our next committee meeting?
23rd.
Is it the 23rd? Okay.
At 6:30.
Okay. 6:30. Change pre-council to Wednesday, November what? 7th. That's it.
Yeah, November 7th.
November 7th, okay. Okay, do we?
Is that 23rd, is that the same night's committee?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
that's why I do that, so that we don't have to come in again.
Good.
And it's right in between, so it's not, it's in between, it's at least not people.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
That's why I do that, it's
Could be
just,
real
so
short.
we're not out on another night.
Yeah, nice meeting
If anybody has a problem, let me know, but that's why I do that.
you. No, it's good.
Okay. Okay, do we have a motion to have a special meeting on October 23rd at 6:30 to, is that to discuss to award the contract for State Plaza Phase 2, and to change our pre-council meeting date in November from November 6th to November 7th. Do we have a motion?
So,
So, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. Discussion on that motion? No discussion? All those in favor say aye. Nays? Okay, there are no nays, so the motion passes. Well, for advertising, that's money. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Braunlich? Mr. Camello? Ms. Heffley? Mr. Heffley? Mrs. Woshner? Continuing on, Health and Safety Day is this Saturday, October 6th, at noon to 3 p.m. Life Flight will be landing at noon. This is at Bayne Park. At 12:30, the Skate Plaza will officially open for grand opening, and then throughout the course of the day, there will also be helmet giveaways, there'll be a bike raffled off, car seat presentation, kitchen fire demonstrations, as well as some other items for the kids and families to do. And the last item is just the Council of Governments Dinner, which is Wednesday, October 17th. I need RSVPs by the 12th, if you are interested in it.
well, can I go back one to the safety day? Did we advertise something for that?
Yes,
We did?
nothing has been given.
It'll be coming this Friday? Oh, good, okay, good. Because many people that were last year, there's still people in my neighbors didn't know, so I should have told them. Yeah, so.
Something we went through school as well. That was a flyer center.
Okay. Yes, that is right.
Very nice.